There is a particular restlessness that many of us know well. The mind circles back to the same thoughts, touches the same worries, rehearses the same conversations that have already ended. We lie down to sleep, and the mind continues. We sit quietly, and it fills the silence with plans and memories and half-formed anxieties. This restlessness is not a flaw in us. It is simply what an unobserved mind does, like water that keeps moving because it has not yet found its own level. The Buddha spoke often about this quality of mind. He used a simple word, dukkha, sometimes translated as suffering, sometimes as unsatisfactoriness, but perhaps most accurately as a kind of fiction. The feeling that something is always slightly out of place. The mind reaches for the next thing before the current thing is finished. It leans away from what is unpleasant and grasps at what is pleasant, and in all this leaning and grasping, it never quite settles. What the Buddha offered was not a solution in the usual sense, not a method to fix the mind or improve it or make it behave. He offered something quieter. He called it awareness, gentle, continuous awareness of what is actually happening as it happens. Think of a river for a moment. When a river is turbulent, filled with rapids and eddies, you cannot see through the water to the stones below. The surface is all chaos and foam. But the river itself is not troubled by this. It simply moves as conditions move it. If you were to sit beside this river day after day, just watching, you would begin to notice something. The turbulence follows patterns. It responds to the shape of the land, the speed of the current, the obstacles in the way. And sometimes, in certain stretches, the river slows, the water clears. You can see all the way to the bottom. The mind is like this. When we first begin to pay attention to it, we see mostly turbulence, thoughts rushing over thoughts, feelings rising and falling without apparent reason. The impulse is often to try to calm it down, to make it clear by force. But the practice the Buddha taught moves in a different direction. It suggests that we simply watch the river, not to change it, but to see it clearly. This watching begins with something very simple, the breath. Not breathing in any special way, not controlling or deepening or perfecting the breath, just noticing that breathing is happening. Air moves in. Air moves out. The chest rises. The belly expands. There is a small pause between breaths. Then it begins again. You can feel this right now if you wish. Without changing anything, just notice one breath. The coolness as air enters the nostrils, the slight expansion in the body, the natural release as the breath leaves. This is not a technique to master, it is just one moment of noticing what is already here. The mind will wander. This is not a problem to solve. The mind wandering is like the river moving. It is what it does. When you notice the mind has wandered, there is a moment, a very brief moment, where awareness is present. You see that you were lost in thought. And in that seeing, you are no longer lost. This moment, this simple recognition is the practice, not the staying focused, not the perfect attention, just the returning. The Buddha taught that this kind of awareness, practiced gently and repeatedly, begins to change our relationship with experience. We start to see thoughts as thoughts, not as truth or command. We notice feelings arise and pass, like weather moving through the sky. We observe the body's sensations without immediately needing to fix or flee from them. The river becomes more familiar. We begin to recognize its patterns. What makes this practice gentle is that it asks nothing of you except presence. You do not need to be calm. You do not need to empty your mind or transcend your humanness or achieve any particular state. You can come to this practice tired, anxious, distracted, sad. You can come exactly as you are. The invitation is only to notice, to feel the breath, to hear the sounds around you, to sense the weight of the body where it makes contact with the chair or the bed or the floor. Right now, there are sounds in your environment. Perhaps you have stopped noticing them because the mind was focused on these words. But they are there. The hum of a machine, distant traffic, the settling of a building, your own breathing. You do not need to do anything with these sounds, just let them be part of the field of awareness. Hearing happening, breath happening. The body sitting or lying here, held by the surface beneath it. This is where the practice lives. Not in some future moment of clarity or peace, but here, in the simple recognition of what is present. The river keeps moving, but now you are beginning to watch it. And in the watching, something starts to shift. You walk through your day and hours pass without you noticing them. You eat breakfast while scrolling. You drive the same route and arrive without remembering the turns. You talk to someone and realize halfway through that you haven't heard a word they said. The day moves and you move through it, but something essential is missing. You are here, but not quite here. This is not a failure. This is simply what the mind does when left to its own momentum. It runs on patterns laid down long ago. It reaches for what it knows. It pulls you forward into the next moment before this one has even landed. The Buddha said the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Not as a threat, but as an observation. The mind shapes the world you inhabit. When it is elsewhere, you are elsewhere. When it is tangled in worry, the day becomes worry. When it is rushing, everything rushes. But the mind is not fixed. It can be met. It can be known. Imagine a leaf floating on the surface of a stream. It moves with the current, turning slightly, drifting left and then right. The leaf does not decide where to go. It is carried by forces beneath the surface, currents it cannot see. This is how most of us live. We are moved by thoughts, by habit, by reaction. We believe we are choosing, but often we are only following. The practice is not to stop the current. The practice is to notice that you are floating. Right now, without changing anything, you can hear something. Maybe it is the hum of a refrigerator. Maybe it is distant traffic. Maybe it is your own breath moving in and out. You did not create this sound. You did not summon it. It is simply here, happening, whether you attend to it or not. This is the beginning. Not effort, not concentration, just noticing what is already present. When you pause and name one thing you can hear, you are not adding something to your experience. You are meeting it. You are stepping out of the stream of thought for just a moment and touching the ground of perception. The sound was always there. You were always capable of hearing it. But now you know you are hearing it. This is awareness, not a state to achieve, not a skill to master, just the simple fact of being present to what is happening. You can do this 3 times today. Not at special moments, not when you are calm or centered, just 3 times whenever you remember. Pause, listen, name one thing you hear. It does not matter if the mind wanders afterward. It does not matter if you forget for hours. What matters is the pause itself, the small gap you create in the momentum of the day. Each time you do this, you are training the mind to return. Not to force itself into stillness, but to recognize that stillness is already underneath the noise. Awareness is not something you build, it is something you uncover. The leaf is still floating, the current is still moving. But now for a moment you notice, you see the water, you feel the drift, and in that noticing, something shifts. You are not only the leaf, you are also the one who sees the leaf. This is enough. You do not need to do more. You do not need to become someone else. Awareness is already here. It has always been here. You are simply learning to recognize it. Pause. Listen. Name what you hear. The rest will follow. You spend most of your day in your head, planning the next thing, replaying what was said, solving problems that haven't arrived yet. The mind moves quickly, and you move with it, barely noticing that you have a body at all. But the body is here. It has been here the whole time. And it knows things the mind hasn't caught up to yet. There is a teaching from the early texts that the Buddha spoke simply. In this fathom-long body lies the world, its origin, its cessation, and the path. Everything you need to understand is already here, in the length of your own form. Not in a book, not in a distant retreat. Right here in the body you carry with you. Think of a tree in late autumn. The leaves are still green, still holding on. But deep in the roots, the tree already knows. The sap is slowing, the ground is cooling, the season is turning. The roots sense what the branches cannot see yet. They feel the truth of things before the mind of the tree, if it had one, could name it. Your body is like that. It feels the tightness in your shoulders before you notice you've been bracing. It registers the shallow breath before you realize you're anxious. It holds the fatigue you've been ignoring, the tension you've been pushing through. The body doesn't argue, it just shows you what is. This is not about fixing anything. It's not about making the body perfect or comfortable. It's about coming back, about remembering that you live here, in this form, and that this form has something to say. You can begin very simply. Sit quietly, wherever you are. Let your hands rest. Maybe on your lap, maybe on the arms of a chair, maybe one hand holding the other. It doesn't matter where, just let them settle. Now feel the weight of your hands. Not the idea of weight, the actual sensation. The pressure against your thighs, or the chair, or each other. The warmth, or coolness. The slight heaviness, the way gravity pulls them down. Your mind will wander. That's fine, it always does. When you notice it has drifted, just come back. Feel the weight again. The simple fact of your hands resting. This is not a small thing, this is the practice. Returning to what is actually here. Letting the body be the anchor when the mind spins out into past and future. You might notice tension you didn't know you were holding. A tightness in the fingers, a clenching in the palms. You don't have to fix it, just feel it, let it be known. The body has been carrying this, and now you're listening. Or you might notice softness, a kind of settling, the hands becoming heavier, more relaxed. This too is just what is. No need to make it mean anything. The Buddha said the body holds the world, not as a metaphor, but as a fact. Your joys and sorrows, your fears and longings, they all live here. In the tightness of your jaw, in the flutter of your breath, in the weight of your hands. When you return to the body, you return to the present. You step out of the endless loop of thinking and into the direct experience of being alive. The body doesn't worry about tomorrow, it only knows now. The pressure, the warmth, the breath moving in and out. This is where the path begins. Not in transcendence, not in escape, in coming home to this fathom-long body, in learning to feel what is here without needing it to be different. Sit for a moment longer, feel your hands, let them be heavy, let them rest. This is enough. This is the practice, the body, patient and steady, waiting for you to return. We often sit down to meditate with a plan for the breath. We want it slower, deeper, smoother. We want it to feel a certain way. And when it doesn't cooperate, when it stays shallow or uneven or tight, we think something has gone wrong. We think we're doing it badly. This is where the struggle begins, not with the breath itself, but with our insistence that it be different than it is. There's an old saying from the Zen tradition: the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. At first this might sound impossible. Of course we have preferences. We prefer calm to agitation, ease to tension. But the teaching isn't asking us to stop wanting things. It's pointing to something simpler. When we bring preferences into this moment, into this breath, we create a second layer of experience. The breath as it is, and the breath as we wish it were. And then we're relating to the wish, not the breath. Think of waves arriving at shore. They don't ask permission. They don't check if the sand is ready. They simply arrive, shaped by wind and tide and the contours of the ocean floor. Some are large, some small. Some break cleanly, others tumble and churn. The shore receives them all without comment. Your breath is like this. It arrives according to conditions. If you've been walking quickly, it comes fast. If your chest is tight with worry, it stays shallow. If you're resting deeply, it softens on its own. The breath is already responding to everything you are in this moment. It doesn't need your management. It needs your attention. So here's the practice, and it's very small. Notice one full breath without changing it. Just one. Not the breath you think you should have. The breath that's actually here. You might start by feeling where the breath is most obvious. Maybe it's the coolness at your nostrils. Maybe it's the rise of your chest or belly. Let your attention rest there lightly, the way you might rest your hand on a table. You're not gripping, you're just touching. Now feel the inhale as it comes in. However it comes. Short or long, smooth or stuttered, shallow or deep. You're not the one breathing. Breathing is happening. You're the one noticing. Feel the brief pause at the top, if there is one. Some breaths have a little rest, some don't. Feel the exhale as it goes out. Let it go all the way to the end, without rushing it or holding it back. Let it finish itself. And notice the space after, before the next inhale begins. That's one breath. You didn't make it happen. You didn't improve it. You were just there with it, the way the shore is there with the wave. If you found yourself trying to deepen the breath or smooth it out, that's fine. That's what minds do. They have preferences. But now you know the difference. Controlling feels like effort, like steering. Observing feels like receiving. Try another breath if you like. Same instruction. Let it be exactly as it is. Your only task is to stay close, to feel it fully. The breath will teach you what this moment is made of. Tightness, ease, fear, calm. It's all there in the texture of the breathing. You don't have to fix any of it. You just have to be willing to feel it. This is equanimity, not indifference. Not giving up, just this, meeting what arrives without insisting it be otherwise. The breath becomes a training ground. If you can let one breath be as it is, you can begin to let other things be as they are. Thoughts, feelings, the weather of the mind. You notice the difference in your body. Observing has a quality of softness, of curiosity. Controlling has a quality of tightness, of holding. When you stop trying to manage the breath, something in your chest or shoulders or jaw might release, just a little. That release is the signal. You've stopped steering. You've started receiving. We hold on to what is already leaving. A conversation ends and we replay it. A feeling rises and we want it to stay or we want it gone. The warmth of morning sun through a window, the ease in someone's voice, the sharpness of worry before sleep. We reach for these moments as if they were solid things we could keep or push away, but nothing we experience is standing still. The Buddha said that all conditioned things are impermanent. When we see this with wisdom, we turn away from suffering, not away from life, but away from the grasping that makes us ache. This is not philosophy, it is something you can see. Think of morning dew on grass. Each droplet catches the light, clear and whole. Then the sun rises a little higher, the air warms, and without announcement, the dew is gone. Not because something went wrong, because that is what dew does. We do not usually grieve the dew. We do not feel betrayed by its disappearing. We know it was never meant to last. But with our own experience, we forget. We think this moment of peace should stay. We think this discomfort should not have come. We treat the passing nature of things as a problem to solve. The teaching is simple. Everything that arises passes. Breath comes and goes. Thoughts appear and fade. Sensations move through the body like weather. Even the sense of who we are shifts from hour to hour. When we do not see this, we cling, we brace against change. We try to freeze what feels good and eliminate what does not. And this clinging is where suffering lives, not in the change itself, in our refusal to let things be as they are. The dew does not resist vanishing. The cloud does not hold its shape. They move according to their nature, and there is no suffering in that. You can begin to see this for yourself not by thinking about it, but by watching. Choose one small thing today: a cloud if the sky is visible, a thought if you are sitting quietly, the quality of light in a room as the day shifts. Do not try to hold it, just watch. If it is a cloud, notice its edges, see how it drifts, thins, darkens, breaks apart. If it is a thought, feel it arrive, peak, and dissolve back into silence. If it is light, watch how it changes color, angle, intensity as minutes pass. You are not looking for anything dramatic, you are simply noticing that nothing stays the same. At first, this might feel like loss. We are used to thinking of impermanence as something being taken from us. But keep watching. Let the noticing be soft, not effortful. What you may begin to see is that impermanence is not a flaw in the design. It is the design. The breath only nourishes because it releases. The heart only beats because it opens and closes. Seasons only renew because they end. If everything stayed, nothing could move, nothing could arrive. Impermanence is not what makes life fragile, it is what makes life possible. When you see a thought dissolve, you are not losing something, you are watching the mind do what it does. When you see the light shift, you are not witnessing decay. You are seeing the day unfold as it must. This seeing changes something, not all at once, but quietly. You stop demanding that this moment be different, you stop clinging to what is already moving. And in that release there is ease, not because everything is now pleasant, but because you are no longer fighting the nature of things. The dew vanishes and the grass remains. The cloud dissolves and the sky is still there. What changes is not the whole of reality. It is one expression, making space for the next. You can meet your own life this way, breath by breath, moment by moment. Letting what arises, arise. Letting what passes, pass. This is not resignation. It is clear seeing. And clear seeing is the beginning of freedom. You have probably noticed how the mind never stops talking. One thought follows another. A memory, a plan, a worry, a song lyric. The voice in your head feels like you. It feels like the center of everything. And because it never stops, you never question it. But there is something strange happening that most of us miss. Between one thought and the next, there is a gap. It is brief, often invisible, but it is there. In Zen, there is a teaching that points to this. The mind is like the sky. Thoughts are like clouds passing through. The sky does not become the clouds, it holds them, it lets them move. And when they pass, the sky remains. You are not the thoughts. You are what notices them. This is hard to believe at first. The thoughts feel so solid, so continuous. They seem to build a world, a self, a story that has been running your whole life. But if you look closely, you will see that thoughts appear and disappear. They come from nowhere, they return to nowhere. And in between, there is silence. Think of music. A song is not made only of notes, it is made of the space between them. Without the pause, there is no rhythm, no breathing room. The silence is not empty, it is what lets the music exist. Your mind is the same. The silence is not absence, it is the ground. It is awareness itself. But we have been trained to ignore it. We fill every gap. We reach for the phone. We start another task. We replay a conversation. We plan what comes next. The moment a thought ends, we produce another one. We are afraid of the pause. What are we afraid of? Maybe we think the silence is lonely. Maybe we think it means we are not doing enough. Maybe we have forgotten that we are allowed to rest. But the silence is not empty. It is awake. It is listening. It has always been listening. You do not need to create it. You do not need to earn it. It is already here. It has been here the whole time, holding every thought you have ever had. Right now, if you pay attention, you can feel it. Between this sentence and the next, there is a gap. Between the inhale and the exhale, there is a pause. Between the sound of a car passing and the sound of your breath, there is stillness. That stillness is not nothing. It is where awareness lives. Most of the time, we live inside the thoughts. We believe we are the one thinking them. We believe we are the story they tell. But you are not inside the thoughts. You are the space that holds them. You are the sky, not the clouds. This is not a metaphor you need to believe. It is something you can taste directly. After you finish reading this, close your eyes. Sit still. Do not try to stop thinking. Do not try to make anything happen. Just wait. Wait for the next thought to appear. Watch the way it arrives. Watch the way it moves. Watch the way it fades. And notice what is there before it comes. Notice what remains after it goes. That is the gap. That is the silence. That is where you have always been. There is a moment that happens many times each day. You reach for your phone. You open the refrigerator, though you are not hungry. You refresh a page that has not changed. You imagine a conversation that has not happened yet, rehearsing what you might say, how it might go. This is craving. Not the dramatic kind, the small kind. The kind that moves through you like a current, pulling you forward into the next thing, and the next, and the next. The Buddha saw this clearly. He said the root of suffering is attachment. The uprooting of suffering is letting go. Not letting go as a grand gesture, letting go as a quiet noticing. A recognition that the wanting itself is what keeps us circling. Think of a dog chasing its own tail. Round and round, faster and faster, convinced that if it just moves quickly enough, it will finally catch what it is after. The tail is always there. The tail is always just out of reach. The dog does not see that the chasing is the problem. It believes the solution is in the catching. We do this too. We chase the next purchase, the next message, the next achievement, the next moment of relief. We believe that satisfaction is just ahead. One more step, one more try, one more thing, and then we will rest. But the craving does not stop when we catch what we are after. It simply finds a new tail to chase. This is not a moral failure. This is how the mind works. Craving arises. It feels urgent. It feels like a command. It says, do this now, get this now, fix this now. And we obey without noticing we are obeying. The practice is not to fight the craving, not to shame it or push it away. The practice is to see it, to notice it as it happens, to feel where it lives in your body. Today, just once, notice one small wanting, not the big ones, not the life-changing desires, just one small pull, the urge to check something, the wish for a different feeling, the reaching for distraction. When you notice it, pause, not to stop yourself, just to feel. Where does it live? Is it in your chest, tight and forward-leaning? Is it in your throat, a kind of restlessness? Is it in your hands, already moving toward the thing before you have decided? You do not need to name it perfectly. You do not need to analyze it. Just feel the shape of it, the texture, the way it moves through you. This is the beginning of letting go. Not the letting go of the thing you want, the letting go of the belief that the wanting must be obeyed. Craving is a visitor. It arrives, it knocks. It says, I need this. But you do not have to open the door immediately. You can stand there and notice the knocking. You can feel the urge without following it. The dog stops chasing when it realizes the tail is already here, not ahead, not behind, here. You stop chasing when you see that the craving is not a command. It is a sensation, a pattern, a familiar loop that has run many times before. And when you see it clearly, without judgment, something shifts, not always, not dramatically, but quietly. The urgency softens, the pull loosens, you are still here, the wanting is still here, but you are not tangled in it the same way. This is the uprooting the Buddha spoke of, not a single heroic act, a gentle, repeated seeing, a willingness to pause and feel, to let the craving be a visitor, not the one who decides. There is something in us that wants to push away what hurts, a tightness in the chest, a wave of anxiety, a memory that stings. The instinct is immediate. Make it stop. Make it go away. We clench against it, argue with it, distract ourselves from it. And for a moment we might feel relief, but the discomfort returns. And now there is something else with it, a frustration that it came back, a fear that it will not leave, a quiet shame that we cannot handle it. This is the second layer. The pain itself is one thing. What we do with it is another. The early teachings speak to this with a kind of radical gentleness. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. The difference is in how we meet what arises, not in whether we feel it, not in whether we are strong enough to ignore it, but in how we turn toward it or away. Aversion is the word used in the tradition. It is not anger, exactly. It is the movement of pushing, the no that tightens in the body before thought even forms. It is natural. It is old. It kept our ancestors alive. But it does not always serve us now. Imagine a hand trying to hold back the tide. The water comes, the hand presses against it, the muscles strain, the water keeps coming, the hand pushes harder, the arm shakes. The water does not stop, it never stops. The hand is exhausted and the tide is not even noticed. This is what aversion feels like in the body. A constant bracing, a refusal that costs everything and changes nothing. But there is another way. When something uncomfortable arises, you do not have to fix it. You do not have to understand it. You do not have to make it smaller or quieter or more manageable. You can simply place one hand on your chest and breathe with it, not at it, with it. Feel the rise and fall of the breath beneath your palm. Notice the warmth of your own hand. Let the discomfort be there. Let it move if it wants to move. Let it stay if it wants to stay. You are not agreeing with it. You are not giving in. You are just not fighting. This is not passivity. This is presence. The breath continues. The hand rests. The discomfort may soften or it may not. That is not the point. The point is that you are no longer adding force to force. You are no longer the hand against the tide. Sometimes the feeling shifts almost immediately. A knot in the throat loosens. A tightness in the belly eases. Sometimes it does not shift at all. But even then something changes. The relationship changes. You are with the experience, not at war with it. This is the practice, not once, but again and again. Each time something difficult arises, you have a choice. Push or stay, clench or soften. The hand on the chest is a reminder. You are here. The breath is here. The discomfort is here. All of it can be held, not solved. Held. Over time, you begin to notice something. The things you pushed against were never as solid as they seemed. Anxiety is not a wall. It is a wave. Sadness is not a trap. It is weather. When you stop bracing, when you let your hand rest and your breath move, the experience reveals itself. It is not permanent. It is not you. It is just something passing through. And in that recognition, the second layer begins to dissolve. The suffering that came from the pushing, from the no, from the exhaustion of holding back the tide. That part was optional. That part was yours to release. The pain may still be there. Life brings pain. Bodies ache, hearts break, loss is real. But the war with it can end. The hand can rest, the breath can continue. And in that small gesture, that one hand on your chest, you meet what is difficult not as an enemy, but as part of the weather of being alive. You wake in the morning, and the first thought that arrives is already calling itself, I am tired. I need coffee. I have so much to do. The voice is so familiar that you never question it. Of course, there is someone here, a self at the center, the one who experiences everything else. But if you pause, even for a breath, something shifts. The tiredness is just a sensation in the body. The thought about coffee is a flicker of wanting. The list of tasks is a stream of images and words. Each one arises, each one passes. And somewhere beneath all of it, there is awareness itself, quiet and still, watching it all come and go. The teaching says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. There is no self apart from the flow of conditions. At first, this sounds abstract. It sounds like philosophy. But it is not a concept to believe. It is an invitation to look directly at what is already here. Form means everything you'll experience. The weight of your body in the chair, the sound of rain, the thought that just passed, the feeling of your breath, all of it is form. And emptiness does not mean nothing. It means that none of these things exist on their own. They arise because of conditions. They depend on everything else. A thought arises because of a memory, a sensation, a moment of contact. A feeling arises because of a thought, a sound, a shift in the body. Nothing stands alone. And the self you assume is there, the I at the center, it too is form. It arises, it changes, it depends. Think of a river. You stand on the bank and you see water flowing past. You say, this is the river. But which drop of water is the river? The one that just passed? The one arriving now? The one still upstream? If you take away every drop, one by one, at what point does the river disappear? The river is not any single drop, it is the flow itself. It is the conditions, the rain, the slope of the land, the pull of gravity. And still, we call it a river. We are not wrong to do so. But we are mistaken if we think the river is a fixed, separate thing. You are like this. There is no single thought, no single sensation, no single moment that is you. There is only the flow, breath coming in, breath going out, a sound arising, a thought forming, a feeling shifting. The conditions change, and what you call I changes with them. This is not a loss, it is a relief, because if there is no fixed self to defend, then what is there to protect? If you are not a solid thing, then you cannot be broken. If you are a flow, then you are already whole, already complete, just as you are in this moment. You can test this quietly. You do not need to believe anything, you only need to look. Sit for a moment, let your breath settle. And then ask very gently, who is aware of this moment? Do not answer with words. Do not reach for a concept. Just ask the question and listen. Who is aware of the breath? Who is aware of the sound in the room? Who is aware of the thought that just arose? If you stay with the question, something unusual happens. You cannot find the one who is aware. You look for the self and it slips away. There is awareness, yes, there is seeing, hearing, feeling. But the seer, the hearer, the feeler, they dissolve when you try to locate them. What remains is just this, just awareness itself, open, spacious, not separate from what it knows. The breath breathes, the body feels, thoughts arise and pass. And there is no one standing apart from it all. There is only the river flowing. We often wait for compassion to arrive like a wave of feeling. We think it should flood the chest, soften the eyes, make us suddenly warm toward someone we find difficult. And when that feeling doesn't come, we assume we failed at kindness. But compassion doesn't begin in the heart as emotion. It begins in the eyes as attention. There's a teaching that says, just as a mother protects her child, cultivate a boundless heart toward all beings. It doesn't say manufacture a feeling. It says cultivate a way of looking. The mother doesn't wait to feel protective before she notices her child is cold. She sees, and the seeing itself moves her hand toward the blanket. This is where we start. Not with trying to feel more, but with learning to look differently. Think of sunlight. It doesn't choose which leaf to touch. It doesn't measure worthiness or wait for the right mood. It simply falls. On the stone, on the weed, on the rose. The light doesn't strain to be generous. Generosity is what it does by nature. When you look at someone with gentle awareness, you're not forcing warmth into your chest. You're allowing your attention to rest on them the way light rests on a surface. No agenda, no inner negotiation about whether they deserve it, just looking. You might try this once today. Choose one person. It could be someone you pass on the street, someone waiting in line, someone whose face you see for 3 seconds in a crowd. Let your eyes settle on them for a moment, not staring, not analyzing, just noticing they're there. And then, silently, without announcement, wish them ease. You don't need special words. You don't need to feel anything dramatic. You might simply think, may you be at ease, or may your day be light. The words are just a frame for the attention. What you're doing is training the mind to pause, to see another person not as scenery, not as obstacle, not as extra, but as someone who, like you, wakes up tired sometimes. Who worries? Who wants the headache to stop? Who hopes the afternoon goes smoothly? This isn't about fixing them. It isn't about sending energy or changing outcomes. It's about letting your awareness touch their existence the way sunlight touches a wall. Briefly, quietly, without needing anything back. At first, it might feel mechanical. The words might seem empty. That's fine. You're not performing compassion. You're practicing the posture of it. The way a dancer practices a movement slowly before it becomes fluid. Some days the wish will land softly and you'll feel a small opening. Other days nothing. The mind will wander before you finish the thought. That's also fine. You're not grading yourself. You're just learning to turn your attention outward with gentleness instead of judgment. What begins to happen over time is that the looking itself changes you. Not because you're trying to be a better person, but because awareness, when it's steady and kind, reveals what was always true. That the boundary between you and them is thinner than you thought. That their hope for ease is the same shape as yours. Compassion stops being a mood you wait for. It becomes the texture of how you see. You'll notice someone carrying heavy bags, and the noticing itself will be softer. You'll see a face tight with stress, and instead of turning away, you'll let your attention rest there for a breath. Not to fix, not to save, just to see. This is the practice. One person, one moment of looking, one silent wish. The heart doesn't need to flood with feeling. The light just needs to fall. You know this feeling. Something pleasant arrives and you reach for it, wanting it to stay. Something unpleasant shows up and you push it away, wanting it gone. All day, this motion. Toward, away. Grasping, rejecting. The mind like hands that never rest. And in all that movement, something gets missed. There is a teaching, simple and old, that speaks to this. The Buddha called it the middle way. Not indulgence, not denial, not clinging to pleasure, not running from pain, just clear seeing of what is. Not a compromise, not a grey zone between extremes, something else entirely. Think of a wheel turning. The outer edge moves fast, always in motion, always becoming something new. But at the very center, where the axle sits, there is a point that does not move at all. The wheel spins around it. The stillness makes the turning possible. That still point is not fighting the motion. It is not trying to stop the wheel. It simply rests where it is. This is what equanimity feels like. Not numbness, not indifference. A living stillness at the center of experience. You can find it in small ways. Sit for a moment and bring your attention to your feet on the floor. Not to change anything, not to feel something special, just to notice what is already there. The pressure where your heel meets the ground. The coolness or warmth. The slight shifting of weight. This is neutral territory. Your feet are not asking you to do anything. They are not pleasant in a way that makes you grasp, not unpleasant in a way that makes you turn away. They are just there, holding you. Stay with that. Let your attention rest the way your feet rest. If your mind moves toward something else, that is fine. Notice where it goes. Maybe it reaches for a thought about later today. Maybe it pulls away from a sound you do not like. Just see the movement. Then return to the feeling of your feet. You are not trying to stop the reaching or the pushing. You are finding the place that does not need to move. Sometimes there is a sound in the distance, traffic on a faraway street, voices through a wall. Let it be background. You do not have to follow it. You do not have to block it out. It can exist at the edge of your awareness while you stay with what is close. The still point is not about controlling what arises. It is about not being pulled into the spin. When you grasp, you tighten. When you reject, you tighten. The middle way is the softening that happens when you stop doing either. Not a forced relaxation, not a decision to be calm, just the natural settling that comes when you are not leaning toward or away. Your feet on the floor, the sound in the distance, your breath moving in and out without effort. None of it needs you to make it different. This is balance, not a position you hold, a stillness you recognize. It has always been here. Beneath the grasping, beneath the pushing away. Quiet, available, waiting for nothing. You sit down to meditate, and within moments the mind is somewhere else. Planning dinner, replaying a conversation, wondering if you locked the door. You notice this and feel a small collapse inside. Not again. You think something has gone wrong. This happens so often that it begins to feel like the central problem of meditation. The wandering, the forgetting, the sense that you cannot hold attention for even a handful of breaths before the mind slips away like water through open fingers. And so you try harder. You grip the breath. You scold yourself when thoughts appear. You treat each departure as evidence of failure, each return as damage control. But there is another way to see this. In Zen, there is a simple saying. Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. It is not about perfection. It is not about never falling. The practice lives in the standing, in the return, in the beginning again. Each time you notice the mind has wandered, that noticing is awareness itself. That moment when you realize you have been lost in thought. That is not failure. That is waking up. And the return to the breath, however brief, however many times it happens, that return is the whole practice. Imagine a bell. It rings, clear and full. Then the sound fades into silence. You might think the silence means the bell has stopped working. But then it rings again. The bell does not apologize for the silence. The silence is part of its nature. The ringing returns, and that return is complete in itself. Your attention is like this. It rings with presence. It fades into thought. Then it rings again. The fading is not wrong. The return is not repair. This is simply how attention moves. When you sit to meditate, you are not trying to make the bell ring forever without fading. You are learning to let it ring, let it fade, and let it ring again. Each return is a new beginning, not the same beginning, a fresh one. So the practice becomes very simple. Sit, breathe. When you notice the mind has wandered, smile softly. Not a big smile. Just a small softening at the corners of the mouth, a quiet acknowledgement. Oh, thinking. and then come back to the breath. The in-breath, the out-breath, the body breathing itself. You do not need to retrace where the mind went. You do not need to understand why it wandered or make a plan to prevent it next time. You simply return, like touching home base, like putting your hand on something solid. And then the mind wanders again. This is certain. It will wander 10 times in 10 minutes, 100 times in 20 minutes. This is not a sign that you are doing it wrong. This is the practice revealing itself. Each return is one moment of freedom, one moment of choosing presence over the pull of the story. It does not matter that the next moment you are pulled away again. That return still happened. It still counts. There is no quota, no goal of staying present for longer stretches, no gold star for fewer thoughts. The practice is not measured in duration. It is measured in returns, and every return, no matter how small, is complete. After a while, something shifts. You begin to trust the return more than the staying. You stop bracing against the wandering. You stop treating presence like a fragile thing you must protect. The mind wanders and you come back, and there is no drama in it, just the bell ringing again. This is when the practice becomes kind, when the return feels less like failure management and more like coming home. Again and again without keeping score. The breath is always here. It never left. You are the one who wandered, and you are the one who returns, and both are allowed. You wait for the weekend to meditate. You tell yourself that when things calm down, when the house is quiet, when you have more time, then you will practice. The cushion sits in the corner, the breath waits. Life happens in between, loud and demanding, and you move through it half-present, saving your attention for later. This is how practice becomes something separate, a thing you do when conditions align. A refuge you enter only after crossing some invisible threshold of readiness or peace. But there is an old teaching that suggests otherwise. Every step can be a meditation. Every moment is an opportunity to wake up, not as an ideal, not as something to achieve, simply as what is already true. The separation you feel is not in the nature of things, it is in the way you hold them. You have learned to divide your life into sacred and ordinary, practice and distraction, the moments that matter and the ones that do not. And so you wait. You postpone. You save your full presence for a time that feels more worthy of it. Meanwhile, the dishes need washing, the floor needs sweeping. You walk from room to room, drive to work, stand in line at the store. These moments pass. They do not announce themselves as opportunities. They simply arrive, plain and unadorned, and you move through them with your mind elsewhere. Consider water shaping stone. It does not wait for the perfect drop. It does not gather itself for one great effort. It simply meets the surface again and again, patient and unhurried. Each contact is brief. Each one seems to do nothing. And yet over time, the stone changes. Not because the water became something other than water, but because it showed up fully in each small meeting. Your life is like this. Not a series of interruptions between moments of practice, but an unbroken stream of contact. Breath meeting air, feet meeting ground, hands meeting warm water and soap, each one a chance to be here, awake, without needing anything to be different first. You do not need to meditate on everything. You do not need to turn your entire day into a performance of mindfulness. That will be exhausting, and it would miss the point. The point is not to add more effort. It is to notice that presence is already possible, right in the middle of what you are already doing. Choose one thing, something simple, something you do every day without thinking. Maybe it is brushing your teeth. Maybe it is putting on your shoes. Maybe it is the first sip of water in the morning. Just one activity. Tomorrow, when you meet it, bring your full attention, not your judgment, not your commentary, just your noticing, the temperature, The texture, the small movements of your hands or your mouth, the weight of your body, the sound, if there is sound. Let it be enough to simply feel what is happening while it happens. This is not a small thing, even though it seems small. It is the whole practice right there in that one moment. The willingness to meet life directly instead of thinking about it from a distance. The willingness to be where you are. You may find that your mind wanders, it will. You may find yourself planning or remembering or judging. That is fine. Notice that too. And then, gently, return. Not because you failed, but because returning is the practice. Each return is a drop of water meeting stone. What you are learning is not a technique. You are learning that your life does not need to be divided. That practice is not something separate from living. That the ordinary is not a distraction from the sacred. It is where the sacred lives, quietly, waiting for you to notice. You do not need to wait for stillness. You do not need perfect conditions. You only need this moment and the willingness to meet it. One breath, one step, one small act of attention, offered without force. The stone does not resist the water. It simply receives it, and slowly, without announcement, it changes shape. The practice does not ask you to become someone new. It asks only that you notice what is already here, this moment, this breath, the weight of your body resting where it rests, the sound that moves through the room and fades. Gentle awareness is not a destination you arrive at once and hold forever. It is a returning. Again and again, you will forget. Again and again, you will remember. This is not failure. This is the practice itself. You may notice as days pass that the mind still wanders into old patterns, planning, replaying, tightening around what it wants or fears. This is natural. The mind has been doing this for a very long time. Gentle awareness does not fight these movements. It sees them. It feels the texture of worry, the pull of desire, the weight of resistance. And then, without force, it returns to the breath, to the body, to the simple fact of being here. Impermanence moves through everything. The thought that felt so solid a moment ago has already changed. The sensation that seemed unbearable has softened or shifted into something else. Even the sense of self, the one who is practicing, is not as fixed as it appears. When you look closely, with patience, you see that what you call I is a collection of changing conditions. Breath, sensation, memory, perception, all of it arising and passing. This is not something to fear, it is something to meet with tenderness. When you see that nothing lasts, you also see that nothing needs to be clung to so tightly. The anger does not need to be pushed away. The joy does not need to be grasped. Both will move, both will change. Gentle awareness holds this truth lightly. It does not harden around it. It simply sees, and in seeing, there is space. Space for things to be as they are. Space for you to be as you are, without needing to fix or perfect anything. There will be days when the practice feels easy. The mind settles quickly. The breath is smooth. The body feels light. And there will be days when everything feels heavy, when the mind will not settle, when the breath is shallow and the body aches. Both are part of the path. Gentle awareness does not favor one over the other. It meets each moment with the same soft attention. The same willingness to be present even when presence is uncomfortable. You do not need to be good at this. You do not need to achieve a certain state or reach a particular level of calm. The practice is simply the act of returning, of noticing when you have drifted and choosing gently to come back. Each return is complete in itself. Each moment of awareness is enough. As you continue, you may find that this quality of attention begins to move into the rest of your life. Not because you are trying to make it happen, but because awareness naturally spreads when it is practiced with care. You may notice a pause before reacting, a softness in how you meet difficulty, a quiet appreciation for small things. The way light falls, the sound of rain, the feeling of your feet on the ground. These are not special moments, they are ordinary moments seen clearly. The practice asks nothing more than your willingness to see, to feel, to return. It does not require perfection. It does not demand that you transcend your humanness. It invites you to be fully here, in this body, in this life, with all its complexity and change. And in that presence, something opens, not dramatically, not all at once, but quietly, steadily, like the way dawn comes. If you wish, you can continue sitting for a while longer, letting the silence settle, letting the breath move without effort. Or, if you feel drawn to explore further, there are other reflections waiting, other threads of this practice to follow. But there is no rush, no pressure. The practice will be here whenever you return. For now, rest in the simplicity of this moment. Grateful for the breath that continues, grateful for the body that holds you, grateful for the awareness that sees. Nothing needs to be added, nothing needs to be taken away, just this, just here, just now.